and I'm excited to be here with two women who have done and are still doing amazing things. My guests today are Mrs. Josephine Kodiabidiako, who is an insurer and the CEO and founder of Slim and Fit GH. If I attempt to read her profile, we'll use the whole 1 hour. So let me go to our next guest, who is Novisi Sope. I hope I got the name right. Yes, I did. Did I? All right. So Novisi wears many caps. So before here, we're just asking, how are you able to do all this? Because she has a very tight day international job, not just a day job that sees her going around West Africa. So Novisi is the strategic. You are a senior manager, strategic insight analytics for West Africa at Danone. Danone is the fan milk we all know, and then she's also the host of Reflections by V, which is a new conversation that she's leading, all in mentoring women. She's also the creator of the Vision with V journal. I'm hoping that these women will leave us pumped. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. So, like we were saying before, we are not coming to do titles. We are coming to just have a conversation, mainly to inspire women. I'm sure that we've all had our share of challenges. Between blue and red, I think that I would go for blue.
I'm the blue. I was okay.
Obviously. So, your profile is interesting. Before Fan Milk, you've done international jobs for a while. I think that the most popular one that we all know is your work with X, will I say Twitter? Yes. So, would you say, how has the experience been for you so far, being a woman in such a space?
I think for me, I haven't really noticed any like significant changes. Well, when I started my career, I didn't really have the mindset that, okay, maybe I didn't feel like I had any limitations. It could be because of the way I was brought up. I just knew that I wanted to do well in my career. And so I applied the basic principles, right? Just being curious, being hardworking, and asking for what I want, which I think is also a personality trait.
I mean, asking for what I want. How do you ask for what you want?
By asking for what you want. Okay, so let me give you a practical example. For me, like even in my current role, I try to have a good relationship with my boss, for starters. And when there's something I want in terms of maybe the next role or a specific, I don't know, benefits, I ask. I have a conversation and I say, I'm interested in this and this and this. And what would it take me? What do I need to do to get to that next level? And then based on what he says, I'll add it to my plan. I plan a lot. I set my goals. If they say, I'm just giving an example, that you need to do more of this thing or that thing, I find a way to factor it into my plan. And then I work towards it. So that's what I mean.
Have bosses who are that understanding?
No.
And, so because it's sounding like, when you ask, you get the feedback and But
I was telling someone a few days ago that I've had about 17 bosses, like direct bosses, in my very short career. Some of them have been terrible. Some of them have been amazing, and some of them have been like even more amazing. So I think that most of like what I do now in terms of the way I even interact with my boss or the people I collaborate with is also based on some of the past experience I had. Some of my bosses were terrible, but there were also things that I wasn't maybe doing so well that would have made them behave that way. So I think I've just kind of learned as I've gone along.
All right. So when I introduced Mami Jo, I didn't add that she's been in corporate for a while. I think it's been from 2029 that you started Slim and Fit. When did you move out of corporate?
Okay, so it's been 5 years.
Okay.
I should think so. It should be 5 years.
Okay.
But balancing the two, it's been more than 5 years.
More than 5 years, exactly. Okay. So you've worked, I'm sure before you rose to become a sales manager and a branch manager and even building branches,
exactly.
You worked under different bosses, or even if as a manager you still have, there are always bigger bosses.
Yes.
How were you, what are some of the challenges that you faced that you think were peculiar to you because you were a woman? What are some of the challenges that you faced?
Okay, so I would say I've gone through so many phases as a woman. trying to climb the career ladder, right from being hired and then positions and then having a leadership role as well. And so personally, at a point, even if you are doing so well and then there's an opportunity for you to grow, you being a woman alone, people think that you are not emotionally intelligent,
Wow.
will limit certain opportunities for you, especially when it comes to leadership roles. A man will do it better, manage men or manage both gender in such a way that productivity will be high. Okay. And then I wouldn't say that for me personally, but some sort of harassment whereby you have to give in. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to give in. I think I've had people knowing them personally that would have to give in something
Yeah.
to be employed or to be promoted. And again, too, sometimes it's even women having higher position and then you climbing, having a potential, but you climbing, they make it very difficult for you to get to a higher height. And so I have tasted both, but how I was able to make it to the top was believing in me, educating.
No, this believing in me thing becomes like every person you listen to believe in yourself. You know, like see, we believe in ourselves. So.
Yes,
But
yes,
what are
yes.
the practical ways when you say believing in me?
Before I even got to the point to believe in me, I was fortunate to have somebody who could tell that you have a potential, but you are just a confused being. And
Yeah.
I think that there are so many young ladies out there who do have potentials, but they do not know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I had someone after having a conversation where said that, no, Joe, I think you are good in this. You would perform well in this
Yeah.
particular area. Get these books and read.
Yeah.
Have this sort of schooling. Gradually, let me engage you. Let me bring you closer to me. Let me take you to certain workshops, seminars. Study me. So I had that.
Yeah.
And so that lifted my confidence level. And then when there was an opportunity for me to grow, it was even a he, not a she. He said, you can do it, just go.
Yeah,
But
but you know
go for it.
what you're saying about the believe in me thing is so true, because I mean I've also heard that all my life. I think it's only maybe the last 3 or 4 years that I realized that even though it's very cliche, everybody says that, it is really for me one of the most important things.
Okay.
Because it's almost like when you believe in yourself, it keeps you grounded. Like
How
so
do you
when
differentiate believing in yourself and being proud? You know, like
there's nothing, but there's nothing wrong with being
confidence and, you know-
confident. I think in our society, because the way we are nurtured, there's this mindset of brainwash, like it's almost like a fake humility. There's nothing wrong with knowing who you are and being confident that this is who I am, this is what I can do. And so for me, I always say that we need to get out of the mindset that, oh, we have to diminish ourselves to appear like humble, right? I think believing in yourself is really important, because if not, what happens? If first of all, you have to be very self-aware. You have to do the work to figure out who you are,
Exactly.
know your strengths and even your weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with knowing what your weaknesses
I want
are.
us to draw the line between believing in yourself, being confident, and being like, I know it all.
Okay, I think I see what you mean. For me, what I think is that believing in yourself, be doing the work to know who you are as a person, know who you are in God. I'm Christian, so I always use that reference. Know who you are in
I
God.
forgot what that mommy
Know
is also for mommy.
Oh, then they were in good company. I'm not also for mommy though, but for me, I really think so. That's what has worked for me. I know who I am. I know what my strengths are. I even know what my weaknesses are. So if I'm standing somewhere and I'm speaking, I'm not speaking from a place. I don't think I know everything, but because I know who I am, even when I'm wrong, I can say, oh yeah, I think I was wrong about this. I changed my mind. I also have the mindset that there's nothing I cannot learn, right? So if I don't know something, if I hear something here that I don't know about, I'll ask it. Even since we've been sitting here, I've already been asking, oh, tell me about this, tell me about that, right? So I just think that fundamentally we need to just get out of the mindset that believing in yourself is
Knowing
being
it all.
arrogant.
Okay.
There's a difference. Like being arrogant means like looking down on people. That's not the point. It's about knowing knowing what your strengths and development areas are, and working with that. If you don't know that, if somebody tells you something, it will just kind of shake your confidence, which is what happens to a lot of women. So for me, I think that that's like one of the most important things.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Mami Jo,
I think to add to what she said, it starts with education or having knowledge about something. You need to be well equipped.
Yeah.
And that brings the confidence. And so if you find yourself in a particular field, learn, grow, nurture it, be on top of the game. And that brings the confidence. So it doesn't literally means that you have to know it all. Knowing it all means that you won't even accept that you are even erring or doing some sort of mistakes. One boss somewhere, I think my former CEO somewhere told me that, Josie, I am not scared to hire someone who will do what I am lacking and learn from the person, more sort of partnership. And then during that process, I will be able to learn or do better.
Yeah.
And so I had that right from the start, and it has also helped me in building my establishment. And so I don't know it all, even though I'm the one doing the visions and the strategies and everything. In some departments,
so sometimes you must do some tatashi, right?
Oh,
so
of
like
course,
you
I
must do some. I had things like
not
okay,
necessarily, but
maybe I don't know, but should I form? Should I?
Sometimes you form, like really. Maybe I'm saying too much, but no, please. I mean, those who work in corporate know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You prepare well. You have to have the knowledge. You have to have the education. And in corporate, you may not know everything about everything.
Exactly.
Right? So you prepare. You read whatever you need to read. But if I'm presenting something and someone asks me a question that sometimes I'll say honestly, I don't know. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I'll own it with like I'll get back to you. I don't have an answer to that. But sometimes you will wing it. You wing it sometimes, right? And then maybe you go and figure it out later on. But and I think men do that all the time. It should be okay if
a woman
men do
does it too.
Okay.
Once you are not winging it in a way where you are just giving wrong information. But yeah, you have to learn how to wing it.
I think that Lovisi, what draw me to your page on your socials is that you have a very busy schedule. Sometimes I see some snippets. I'm sure you are only posting very little things, but you're still finding time to mentor girls or mentor people. Did you have mentors yourself?
I would say indirect mentors. So the way I mentor the girls now is very systematic. Like they know Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, 1 hour in the evening. It's just their time. I didn't necessarily have that when I was coming up, right? I had some women I knew who were doing well, and I would ask them, okay, I have this situation. How do I navigate it? Or even people I work with. But I'm very passionate about mentoring like young women. I say young women, but most of these women are also work in corporates in pretty good roles. And I do it because I wish I had that.
Okay.
I wish I had someone kind of, I won't say coaching me, but kind of just guiding me along the way. Someone who actually understands some of the challenges, because I've had, maybe some men I work with tell me, oh, do this or do that, right? But at the end of the day, they would never really understand what my experience is as let's say even a Ghanaian woman or a West African woman. So I just want to kind of pay that forward, which is why I'm very intentional about mentoring a number of women.
How are you mentoring young people? Do you do like sessions? Do you have like people that, okay, I'm calling to check up on you? Do you have targets you set for them?
Yes, so that's what I was saying. So now I have like 2 women who I do that for constantly. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, if we miss a session because sometimes schedules clash, we replace that session on Thursday, and they know it's serious business. So at the beginning of this year, we've already discussed their goals. We use the framework that is in the Vision with V journal. I push back a lot. Sometimes they come and tell me something. I challenge them. And it's not like I'm telling them what goals to set, but sometimes I'm trying to help them to see a different perspective. So if they tell me I want to do X, Y, Z, I say, like, why? What's the reason why you think this goal makes sense, and why do you think you can achieve it this year? So I push and push and push until they themselves are clear on what it is they want to achieve, and then they write it down. They send me a copy. I follow up. When
no Gen Z things. No, I have to,
Like I said, if schedules clash, they work in corporates as well.
Not clash of schedules.
Okay.
That one is normal, but sometimes attitude towards work.
I also think Gen Zs get a bad rap. I work with some Gen Zs, and I think some of them are really amazing. I think that
I'm
we
only saying that
created
no Gen Z.
no,
the
no, I get
typical-
what you mean. I get what you mean, but I'm trying to say that some of the Gen Zs that I have even, let's say, mentored indirectly, sometimes yeah, they do some very odd things. But I also think that they are very skilled. We just have to kind of mold them. So for me, with the Gen Zs I work with, sometimes when I ask them to do something or I ask them about something they're working on, and they give me some very odd response, I say, hey, my dear, come here, and we'll have a chat. Like I try and do it in a way that is soft for them to
Okay.
kind of get the essence of what
Before
I'm
they start
saying.
shading you on WhatsApp status. And
No, I'm not afraid of that. Like I'm actually not afraid of that. But I think that they really don't know. Some of them don't know. And I'm sure all of us at some point when we started our careers, we used to do some of those things, right? That the fact that maybe they're supposed to work on a project and they didn't show up because I had to go and do my hair. Like, there's been situations like that. You're like, excuse me, what? You know, but I really think they just don't know. They think that, well, if it's a project and it's happening on the weekend, I have other things to do. So I will see how I can fit it into my schedule. But it's because they really don't know. So I think I try to be a little more understanding of them. I will still give them the feedback, but I realize that they just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mami Jo,
Yeah.
Novice is doing more of mentoring, but aside mentoring, what other ways how can we empower women? Especially those of you who have done it or those of you who are still doing it. How can we empower women?
Okay, so we can't still underrate or maybe cancel out mentoring. Honestly, we can't cancel that bit out because a lot of women, just as I said, do have potential and they have to find what they can really do and they need to be pushed to do it better. So let me even use my past job where I think I had six sales managers. Only one was a female. And I struggled to push the lady to that position.
When you were
A branch manager.
okay, so were you part of the recruitment processes?
Oh yes, I have sat in so many recruitment
So
rooms.
how is it means that there were more men who
There
qualified?
were more men, not that they qualify, but they had
They
the
come
confidence
forward, your
that
confidence. They
I can
do it.
manage. I can manage a team. I can direct a team. I can bring results. And the ladies naturally will want to be more like subordinate
Okay.
to them.
Let me be at the back.
Exactly. And support the team. And so it will take a strong lady, again, the word believe in yourself, to come forward and say that I want to grab this opportunity and do it just as the men are doing it and even do it better.
Yeah.
But
But there are also
that-
systemic issues. Like I also believe that there are systemic issues that make it difficult for women to even want to come forward, right? If you look at our society, let's be honest, when it comes to keeping a home or raising kids, women do majority of the work. So at a certain level, if a woman wants a position, she's thinking about she's calculating, okay, if I take this role, it means that I have to stay in the branch till a certain time. That will affect my ability to get home at a certain time to manage the home. I think that there are all of these issues. So if companies can also be intentional about creating some form of policies. I don't know what those policies will look like, but some policies that make women want to actually come forward and then, do whatever they need to do.
But
It will
in
make
our
a difference.
classrooms, typical classrooms where there are men and women, usually the girls do very well.
Yeah.
And the numbers, the girls are like, we are.
You know, I was
if you
just
do a
coming
But
to
that's
that.
exactly the point.
I was just coming to that. Now,
Okay.
now this lady took the position and she just need little coaching and she did far better than the guys in the branch. And so now if I have a new manager being employed, I will attach the guy to the lady to rather coach the guy to do better. And so
Yeah.
women can do a lot. Just as the points that she raised, there are a lot of things that we go through in the house, trying to juggle career and then home responsibilities. That at a point, if it becomes too much, we tend to burn out. It affects our health.
Yeah.
And again, if you're not able to balance it,
You don't have a
so
supportive partner.
exactly, and both are demanding, what happens? Either you become unproductive at work, or the family will be at a disadvantage. And so that is usually the issue with the women trying to head or come all out and say that I want to do a man's thing. But if we have enough rep or representative of women,
It becomes
maybe
normalized.
in executive meetings or boardrooms where policies and decision making are being, and it's women inclusive. And we are going to look at productivity over long hours of working. A lot of women will do well.
I think that when it comes to those board things, like they put the woman there. Okay, let's put one woman there too. So that picture will look nice.
I disagree, though. I actually disagree. I mean, sometimes some companies do that.
Oh, maybe, especially when there are events.
But I think
they
it's
have
an
speakers.
assumption. It's an assumption because I was going to give an example, but I don't know if that example is appropriate. But if you look at some of the women, the very senior women on boards or some of the biggest companies in Ghana, all you have to do is read their profile. You see that they were not gifted these roles. They worked.
Oh, sure.
But there's just a notion that, if you see a woman on a board and it's like, okay, we want to look like we are doing DEI. We want to look like we are diverse. So let's just put her there as kind of like a token. Right, but really, when you go and read their profiles, you realize that no, they have done the work. Some of them have worked 40 years, have managed like large organizations, and that's why they've been able to get these roles. But I think it's just about a mindset change. In Ghana, we just have the mindset that if there's a woman in this role, either she slept her way to the top or she was gifted the role. But if we see a man in a role, even the most incompetent man, and this is not an attack on men, it's just a fact. If you can see a man who doesn't really know what he's doing, but everybody just assumes that this guy is a CEO, he's done well. So I think as Ghanaians, we just need to really do the work to intentionally change our mindset.
So now it's beautiful to see these ladies there in the upper room. So what happened to linking the younger person who is also struggling, like my younger self? To be mentored.
You mean like the ladies,
exactly,
right?
So you have all these ladies that are at the top, that had been through the ranks, that had been through the challenges, that were able to navigate their way to the top. So what happened to the younger ones?
So they also mentor.
A conscious mentorship.
Okay.
That is being directed by HR, whereby a younger person is attached to a senior manager to help the person do better. And so when you come up with all your challenges in the house and what a lady cannot do, if you have the potential,
I've had conversations with female boards who say, you know what we've been through.
So you feel like because they struggle, they feel like
also want you to show you some
the mail.
See, do you know what we've been through? When we had our babies, we were bringing them to work. We were leaving at 10 p.m. It's 5 and you're leaving.
That's typical women for you. That's a woman.
Obviously, it's
like okay, but it's good that we're having this dynamic conversation.
What she is doing,
because I cannot relate. Like, because for me, it's the women who are supporting me. Like, it's the women who are in my DMs.
So you are
saying, "Let me introduce." No, I think again, if I ask you to tell me one woman. If maybe you tell me after, you can't mention their name. Who has done that? Like, I think it's just a mindset. It's like. It's a certain mindset that we've had for a long time that women are not helping each other. But really, for me, all I see around me is the women are helping each other. Not just me. I see how the women are helping other women. If you go on social media, that's all you see.
Yeah.
A woman is having an event, the other woman will show up. You find a few haters here and there, but that's life.
And there are some comments you hear from men that will only come from women.
Exactly.
So let's say that some of our barriers is menstruation.
Okay.
Some women can't move out of no fault of theirs. Is a natural thing. So while they are menstruating, they can't work. They have to be in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then the man will say, "Oh, these people, if you take them, they'll tell you that they are menstruating. They can't come for anything."
And that's true.
Who has this? I get that, but my point is that's why I was talking about systemic changes. In some companies, you can't say that. You get fired for saying something like that. Before you even say the first 3 words,
obviously,
you have a letter.
You are more of an international...
but that's my point. So that's, for me, yes, even though I have worked in a lot of international companies, I'm trying to say that those companies exist in Ghana as well. I'm trying to say that let's learn from that and change. It's a mindset change, right? It's almost like sexual harassment. In a lot of companies in Ghana, there's blatant sexual harassment, right?
Yeah.
But in some companies, by the time you even said something sexual to a certain woman, you're getting a letter from HR, right? We can't normalize these things and think that it is okay. Me, I don't agree with the mindset that women are their worst. What's that thing they say? Women are their worst. And I don't agree with it because when you ask for the proof, you don't see the proof. Do you get my point? If I want to see an actual woman who said, no, let me not help this person because I suffered. I know that sometimes there's just that mindset that Even for me, sometimes I catch myself doing that when, let's say, I'm coaching someone or helping someone and they're making excuses on excuses. I'm kind of looking at them through the lens of what I was doing when I was at their level. And I'm like, you are being lazy, right? In my mind, I'm like, oh, you are being lazy. But like I said, with Gen Zs, I try to like coach them with that mindset that they're coming from a completely different generation. And this applies to both boys and girls, how I would coach boys and girls. But I won't see a female coming up and then say, because I went through this, you too, you must suffer. I think that is just something people say, but it's not something that actually happens. So me, when people tell me women are their worst enemies, I tell them, tell me who. Give me an example.
Give me your woman.
Yeah, tell me who. But you see that they'll start saying, oh, we know them. I'm like, you don't actually have an example. It's just a thing that people have said over the years that has kind of stuck. But it's just not true, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, Mami Jo, let's go back to the way we're discussing the ways of empowering. Where we've discussed mentorship, which has gone into this whole conversation.
Yes.
So, how do I, let's say, I've worked as a journalist for some time. How do I even begin to mentor? Is this something that you are doing like, okay, every day I want to do like impactful things for this girl or this group, or it comes as and when, or even in what you do?
Okay, so I haven't actually been intentional about it, but when you come closer and we're having a conversation, I tend to figure out what you really want to do. So I had this lady who is a salesperson.
Okay, so you are more of my corner, come and I would open up to you.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then there are a few ones when I was in the other organization, I'm able to spot and then draw them closer.
Good.
But where I find myself now, it's more like the people closer to me, I try to engage them. And then I had to promote one lady to become a sales supervisor, which first we were thinking about bringing a man outside to head the same position. I was like, no, I was given the same opportunity and I did so well. And so why don't we nurture this lady here
So that she
and let
can
her
grow.
grow her full potential? And so that's how come we have a lady being a sales supervisor. Now it comes with all sort of excuses. Now this lady would have to go to our Kumasi branch to do 1 or 2, and I'm taking my child to school. You get it. A guy wouldn't give you all these excuses. I'm taking my child to school, so I have to bring her closer to me and tell her that. That is why it makes it very difficult.
Because the guy's wife is doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said. So the lady, I had to bring her to my office and make her understand that. That is why it becomes very difficult for women to have certain leadership roles because of all these feminine and female.
But we can't help it.
excuses. That
We
is
are
the point.
natural.
Yes.
Even for people who are not mothers, if you have siblings at home and your mom is not well, don't say your brother. Let's say even if it's your father who is a man, he's not well. Don't say, oh, obviously go and take care of him. Your brother will go and buy this. So you are born like a natural caretaker.
But
Your
takes me back to what I was
primary
saying about systemic policies that make it easier. And I'll give you a typical example of something that happened early last year. My company was really gracious to send me to a very prestigious international conference. At the conference, I noticed there was a lady who would sometimes leave and then, go somewhere upstairs, I'm guessing. And at the end of the program, guess what? She was holding a newborn. I was so shocked. I was like, she's not from Ghana. She came from whatever country she came from, and she came with her newborn. The backstory was that she had always wanted to come to this international conference. Her company had said, okay, when they do it again, we'll pay for you to go. But unfortunately, the time that the conference had been scheduled for, she was about to give birth, so she had the baby, and she really wanted to go. Her company, and this is not, it's an international company, but more of like a local.
Okay.
Those kind of local companies that have done well in the region. They actually paid for her, said they will support her. They paid for her nanny to come along with her, booked her like a slightly bigger suite. And so every time we saw her like going somewhere, it was to go and feed her baby.
Yeah.
So for me, yes, maybe this may be a far-fetched example, but I think that there are institutions that are trying their best to create these systematic or systemic policies that make it easier. So yeah, exactly. Because okay, you're a sales supervisor, you need to go to Kumasi. Would it mean that, let's say, instead of showing up at 7 a.m. to start your, status call, you show up at the team, they shifted to 8, I'm just giving a random example, 8:30, because they know that you have to take your child to school. For me, I think it's about being humans even before we start thinking about it from a gender angle, right? If there was a man who was having to do all of this, and there are some men like that in our society, we will figure out ways to accommodate them, right? All the men who are able to show up early because they are white, making space. We need to make space for women by creating actual policies that make it easier, right? Some companies have, my company has a lactation room, so that if women come back to work, yes, they will still have to leave at a certain point, but they won't feel, if maybe they need to pump and store their milk, there's a fridge there for them. So for me, I'm telling you that there are companies like that. So we need to start having the conversations, because sometimes people don't actually know. Companies don't know me. I'm very vocal in my company. I'm like a troublemaker, like a positive troublemaker. If I see something that is not working well, I will talk about it. I would say, oh, why is it that this? Or if somebody says something that I think that maybe, I won't say sexist, but it could be seen as discriminatory, I will point it out. If I don't point it out in a meeting, I'll call the person aside and say, I don't think what you said was appropriate, and we'll have the conversation. So I think that it's about all of us being intentional about identifying these things and even suggesting ways that those things can improve. And just to touch briefly on mentorship, I think that we've been talking about mentorship from a very structured point of view, and that's great. That's what I even do now. But there are many ways to mentor or be mentored. So for most of my career, even though I didn't have like established mentors, there are people I admired that I used to follow. I follow their content, right? So if there's a woman I think is doing very well in corporate, I'll follow her LinkedIn, I'll research about her, and I'll follow any content that helps me understand what she's doing, that is helping her get ahead. So for me, I feel like that's also a way.
I'll come back with a follow-up question on that, following or following women who are doing well. Mami Jo, what happened to this lady?
Okay.
How did your conversation end with her? When you prompted her on the things that you thought may not help her
to grow.
Yes, to grow.
Exactly. So I had to use my own personal story for her to understand that I'm not just trying to put her at a tight corner. Like, I've been through that, whereby I had to carry my 4-month baby in a basket and take her to work, to business seminars, to meetings, and even to field to do work. And this is the young lady here, girl now. So if I was bringing in all that excusitis, I think they said it's a disease. I do not know. So if I was bringing in all these things, I wouldn't have been a better person today. Let alone to even set up something or even inspire you to do better.
But sometimes, how can they help it?
No,
maybe someone who's coming to work with
don't let us pamper ladies too much. Okay. I keep saying that you need to have a man's mentality for you to be at the top.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what she's saying is actually
you need to. The excuses are too many.
When you say a man's
mentality to be
at the top,
they won't give you a lot of excuses.
They get it done.
I mean, I was having cramps. A typical lady. It was that severe that I felt that I may or maybe give you an excuse that I can't. But I said to myself, go. A man wouldn't give such excuse. And so if it was something bigger that I have to grab, you see, all these excuses will just put me at the back. You get it? So if you want to be a visionary, if you want to be at the top, if you want to have a leadership role, if you have to, I mean, you can't eat your cake and have it back. You must find a way around it to take care of the extra things.
Getting help.
Exactly.
I think most people who are trying to be superwomen.
For what reason?
Could never be me.
for what reason?
Soft life only.
So she is very fortunate to have a company that do have policies, more like women inclusive. But if you find yourself in mine, whereby you're heavily pregnant, I'm wearing slippers to work, my foot is quite swollen, I mean, I have my morning sickness, and then people would just do not understand. You have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to show up. Go through it, and when you become a CEO, you understand. Should the business suffer? Yeah. So, becoming a CEO then actually made me understood certain decisions and certain policies, because at the end of the day, work must go on.
But maybe the women at the top when we are climbing do not let us know. Let's say you have someone like you did with this lady, you drew her close. But other people, they say, okay, they're sure, let's see how far she would go.
But because it's true, like one of the things that I hear a lot, like from women who use the book, or sometimes I run these polls on my Instagram and people come and write their challenges. A lot of people say that when I started building my family, I stopped getting promoted. Yeah, it doesn't matter that they were hard workers. I stopped getting promoted. So you hear people say, if I had a magic wand, I wish that we could still grow our families or start our families.
The men could also get pregnant.
And not
like one, and not lose the first pregnancy.
Then you take the second one. That would be so nice.
Yeah. But you see, when we have such policies that do have women in mind, it makes it easier. Then I made mention that productivity over long hours so that we can accommodate women. You have to cut everything short. And then to go home and take care of the family. No one will do it for you. I mean, the traditional home, you expect the woman to do everything. That is caregiving. And that is in our DNA.
Unpaid labor.
Domestic CEO.
Right.
So, Nobisi, this is another way of empowering women is equal pay and getting what you are worth. You've had experiences here and out of Ghana as well. Had there ever been a time when you realized that maybe your male competitors
for sure
are getting more pay?
For sure.
Although you are delivering?
For sure. Yeah, like it's something that happens. Even like, in most of the countries I've worked in, it's something that happens. And the thing is that there's also a lot of secrecy around salaries, especially in Ghana. So the thing is, you will feel like, oh, I got a good deal. But one day, if you go and dig a little, you find out that your peer...
You're giving chicken.
Yes. Is that a result of you not bargaining well?
Exactly. That is what I was told. One time I asked, when I found out that a peer was earning, way more than I was earning, we're literally same experience, same level. I went to one of the people I negotiated with, and I asked, it was even a lady on the panel, and I asked her that, hey, I've just found out that this person's earning this. How come you guys gave me this? And she said, because that's what you asked for. I was like... So since then, I became a lot more, I won't say aggressive, but aggressive, but not aggressive. Yes, I became more if I want something, I really push for it. I do my research.
One of the challenges women have is sometimes when you start a conversation with men and you want them to know, it looks like you are stuck up, you know your rights. You see,
I don't care. You think, again, I think it goes back to what you want, because we're having this conversation, but this conversation may not be relevant for a woman who has made the choice not to be in the rat race. She's made the choice that I want to, maybe take the back seats, focus on running my home, all of that. This conversation may not necessarily be relevant for them, and they are allowed to have that choice. I think for me, it's just the mindset that if you really want to make real change and impact, you need to have some money, and if you want to have some money, you need to work hard or start a business or.
So how have you dealt with your situation of being paid less because you are? These conversations, did they turn into you getting more, or they said, oh, you've already negotiated, so that's it?
No, so for that particular company, I think they said I've already negotiated. In most companies, like some form of a cycle, so you have to wait. They use that as an excuse, or you need to wait till the next cycle. So I think I just learned from it. So after that, when I'm trying to negotiate, I learned how to negotiate. I learned how to really negotiate for my total compensation to make sure that I don't feel cheated anymore.
So what would you advise if I'm going for a job as a woman? What would you advise so that I don't get cheated? What would you advise?
Sometimes I negotiate with people and then they say, why do you want that? Because they'll give you some random excuse. You need to learn how to negotiate.
Oh, maybe if I mentioned $5,000, they would say, oh.
So it's about research. It's about understanding the market you're working in, understanding the company, the role. You do your research, talk to people. I think the challenge here is that in Ghana, people are very hush-hush about their salaries, right? But I'll give you an example. My brother also worked at Twitter. And when I was negotiating, we kind of helped each other. They didn't know then that we were both coming in. They assumed it was just two random people who coincidentally had the same surname. So when I go and I negotiate, I'll ask him, did they offer you this? He'll say no. And then I'll say to go and ask. So he'll go and ask. So we literally inched our salaries up significantly just by sharing that information. So I realized that, wow, if we were a little more open to share information with each other. Maybe not the exact number, because in
And the
Ghana,
range.
even the range, right? People call me sometimes and say, oh, I want to apply for a role in this job or this company or this job. What do you think is a decent salary? And I'll tell them, oh, I think you should be looking at between this and this. And then I may say, but look at also other things like health insurance, this allowance or that allowance. Like, you need to look at the compensation as a total package. For me, I think it's just about doing the research, which includes talking to people.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're after being employed, you don't leave it there. You need to further your education, upgrade, and learn so that you can move from one rank to the other. But some women are just very comfortable with things that makes them comfortable, more like a soft life. And so if you dare to move to the top, continuous upgrading of the mind, knowledge-wise, schooling comes into play. So we can't just be feminine and then
We can't just dress up.
yes, and feminize your way to the top.
You need to man your way
yes, man your way up.
Okay, so I'm coming back to our conversation around money. Money is very important for us.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of buying, impulse buying. And things. So you say I'm window shopping
Guilty.
before you realize, oh, I'm just on Instagram, I'm checking a few before you realize, Mommy, I'm coming to you. You've worked in insurance.
Yes.
When you worked, did you see more women signing up onto insurance policies? Yes.
So it was revealing. Or let me say, I got to know more, especially with women. If you tell them to invest, I want to confirm with my husband, and I find it quite weird.
What are they insuring that they want to?
Investment.
Like, what are they?
Personal investment.
They want to.
Confirm
Maybe
my
they
husband.
have a situation where they've agreed
No,
to.
obviously, this one day, me
to
to
share
give you
filler.
the side eye some. See you want investment,
Yes.
and I have to check with my husband.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I think doesn't it depend on the how they run their
home.
marriage?
Their home.
You know, you get my point.
Do you think a man will come and ask you if he was going to
Not
invest?
at all. You know, I had one funny instance whereby a man made so his wife a beneficiary, and at a point I think he got home and the house was chaos. The woman did something wrong. The man called me, Madam. I said, change the beneficiary. My wife doesn't respect. Change her name and put my mother's name there.
Huh?
You get it.
A policy
and at a
they
point,
signed on.
Exactly. So they would change it and put my mom's name there, but my kids take my wife off, and they do not go and sit with their wives to vouch or maybe push them to say that come and do this policy or not. So I find it quite weird when a lot of women, that's why I have generalized it, saying that I have to confirm from my husband before doing a personal investment for yourself. And then I also have some few cases whereby the man passes on and you are going to give the benefit.
And then you find out that your name is not there.
Your name is not part, or your name is not included. So 50% to the man's biological mom, and then 25 to the kids, and the women are shocked. You get it. So this brings me to
they
the
need
point
their own
whereby
money.
a woman needs to know what financial planning is. They need to be taught. It has to be a topic that we place so much importance on. Even in churches, we can have, women fellowship, having someone to teach women how to
What has
plan.
worked
But
for you
even Google
personally?
is there too.
Well, but how many people would?
And there are a number of I've seen that online. There are a number of people who are doing this. So there's this account called Investment Friend. I need to give them a
Yeah.
shout. I don't know if you know.
I've seen some of the videos.
Sayram and Mimi, and it's very insightful. I learn a lot just by listening by listening or by watching some of the things. They put like practical ways that you can, for men and women, it's not like gendered. That you can plan, grow your money, invest, and so I think that. I think that in as much as we are saying we need to teach women these things, sometimes it makes it seem as if women are helpless. Like women also need to get out there, and then
it's the awareness, like conscious awareness of teaching them. So I used to go around, whether it's a school, it's a church, any organization, book for a presentation slot, and then teach them financial planning, not even a specific one, but financial planning, so that I can talk about proper savings, I can talk about fixed deposits, I can talk about treasury bill, and then now talk about insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes when some people hear these terms, it's like, ish,
it overwhelms
you need to
them.
have
A lot of money.
a lot of money.
No.
What has worked for you? What practical way of saving or even making an investment has worked for you?
Okay, so when I receive my salary, let me even make it very simple for everyone. When I receive my salary, I save before I spend.
Standing order style.
Exactly. And then I have different sorts, maybe kinds of investment that I do. So my normal savings is there, which makes me very liquid. So at any point in time, I can just go in and take something. Then fixed deposits, whereby it runs for just 3 months, 3 months, so that at least my money can also be working for
And
me.
then you get an
Exactly. Then I did bond as well, and then insurance takes majority of it. The reason for insurance is the life cover, because you cannot predict what will happen tomorrow. You have dependents too as well, and so you can have a long-term financial target or plan, and you can have a short-term one, either for rent, for school fees, and short projects like that. But then the beautiful thing about insurance is the life cover. And so even if I'm doing this for my child in school and I want to realize or maybe take out the money at the end of 10 years where the child will be in SHS or maybe entering the university, what if the mom or the parent doesn't live to that expected age?
Yeah.
So what happens is the life cover pays out the matured money or maybe the
Right.
value at maturity to the beneficiary. So by having that, dreams are not shattered. And so
Right.
that is a beautiful thing with insurance
Children are cared
that
for.
savings will not give you. And so educating women on financial planning, but I drum more on insurance because of the life cover that comes with it. But women need to save. I just discovered I think there's something called Yellow Save.
Okay. MTN.
Yes,
I think it's an MTN product.
Yellow Save. And so as
It's
little
a free
as
commercial.
2
The team at
CDs.
MTN. You owe us. Sheila and before
Exactly.
everyone.
So-
Please, you owe us.
As little as 2 CDs. I dared to do 100 Ghana cedis on a daily basis. And that 100 cedis, I can just spend it.
I mean, if you
Just
say
buy
100
lunch.
cities in a day, someone will say, okay, because you have a lot of.
Oh, no, but it's just a conscious decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Get
see,
it.
all the other methods you mentioned, right, is for people who are earning salary, maybe through bank. But I know that a very high number of women
Informal.
are informed on the market.
Exactly.
And
But
some
they are the ones who make the money,
They get
oh.
more cash than us. But you see,
Way more
before
cash.
they are buying tomatoes, this, like, oh, I need this, and tomato, we are going to this funeral. How do these women, how would they see?
So you find them in the church. That's what I'm saying, that financial planning.
The credits.
So you see, you talked about you can just do Google and then you get all the information. But the awareness can be created in the
Okay.
church, whereby you have the association and then you would just go in there, teach them financial planning. You have different forms, whether it's a fixed deposit or whatever. I mean, all sort of instruments being given to them for them to choose, or you help them make a wise decision. And so that's
a
how
lot
car
of
insurance is more like
informal. I don't know what they're called.
microfinance.
Yeah, even in churches, because I think the
Credit union.
Credit union. That's the word I was looking for.
Yellow Save is for everyone, even if you're
Okay.
in the market.
Hey,
So
this
if-
MTN advert. See, my producer and director.
that is why I did not
will come-
mention MTN.
No, but when you say yellow, everybody knows that. But I want to emphasize that
Something safe.
the team at MTN, our own people should know that they hold the mirror for this free commercial that we are doing continuously. Please let's
Yes,
go.
and it's really helping. So sometimes you can just be there having the money, and then before the month ends, you've squandered everything.
They'll buy Wego, right? And the wigs are 10K.
50,000, 20, and all of
But
that.
Mamisho, we are not doing insurance, but let me just come. You know the mindset on insurance. Oh, why should I even insure? Why, so it's my car. As for my car, police will arrest me if I don't
Exactly.
insure.
Yeah.
As for even houses, and now women are buying like luxury handbags.
Yes.
You go walk into a shop, you buy a handbag worth thousands. Even if you buy a bag
$5,000.
$500, convert it. Should we consider insuring all of those areas? Should we? Because I think that they are assets. If I have a jewelry worth $1,000,
And so that when it gets damaged or gets stolen, it's being returned to you. I mean, the value you place on your assets determines the level of security you want to place on it. But then to come to investment and place an insurance on investment is what I'm talking about.
okay,
Because of life uncertainty.
Right.
Someone can move from here just after this meeting and something can happen.
God forbid.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so you have dependents. So the thing here, or the catch here is, if you love your dependents, insure yourself for them. So that even if you are not there, it will feel like you are still there.
Right.
And that's the most important thing.
Okay.
And so, especially when the guys or maybe our husbands are not there, women feel it more. why would you want to go
You have
and
to
confirm?
take your child to another school because now maybe you can't afford it.
So if you are joining us on Facebook, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can send us your questions, and then this is like a free. Novici had a session in January where she charged 1,000 Ghana.
Hey, you are sending
999 is
and then you are putting me on blast.
See, so this one is like a free session.
It was subsidized.
So please, send your questions. We are coming into an area where Mami Jo also charges to coach. And I know. So please bring all those questions, bring your questions, and then we would answer them. Nobita, I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
You mentioned something on finding women or following women who are doing well. You know that people are doing certain these days as well.
No, I mean, okay.
So how do I, like, I'm a young person. I come on social media and there's numbers like Instagram and those places have become like a numbers of, hey, he has 20,000 followers. Hey, people are interacting.
I see your point.
But how do I, as a young person, know who to follow and what to follow?
So I think if I want to give myself as an example, again, maybe that time was a bit different. And also because I work in a corporate institution, the women that I was following were people who were publicly, let's say, marketing director of some large institution or a CEO of another large institution. So even though I don't know them personally, I would go and look at their LinkedIn. I do that a lot. I'll look at their LinkedIn, see where they started from. I even see the schools they went to, what kind of roles they took. Some of these people are featured in the papers, in magazines. I try and look out for that kind of content just to understand what their journey has been, so that I learn from that. If for example, I see that someone who I admire took maybe 3 lateral roles, so maybe she didn't go from, I don't know, associate to manager to senior manager. It gives me the idea that perhaps in terms of growth, I shouldn't only be looking at step ups. I should be open to doing roles that are similar to each other. I don't know if this is a good example, but essentially it's just I look at different sources of information about them, and then I just try and learn from what I think they did well. If I have the chance to talk to them, I may ask them, but you may not always get the access to these kind of people. So for me, it's not only about someone has to sit you down and mentor you, right? It's also about you trying to seek out information about people who you admire so that you can kind of emulate what they've done well.
Okay, so the latter part of our conversation is going to what you people are doing.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let me chip in this.
Okay.
I mean, to help women to also create opportunities for themselves. I mean, women go through different phases in life. And so for whatever phase that you find yourself, you need to think about it very well and figure out a business out of it. So there's this young lady that, okay, she is a chartered accountant, but she recently gave birth. I think the child is now a year old. And she sells clothes in addition to her primary work. And now she has a baby and she's into clothes for babies now. Then at a point, she realized that parents are so much interested in celebrating milestones, a year old, 5 years old, and all of that. She really doesn't have the technical know-how, but she has the idea and she has to learn more. And she's cashing out. She's
What does she do?
She organizes parties for them.
Okay.
So let me bring those who are going to have the bouncy castle and all those things, ice cream, there's blah blah tables, chairs.
She just kind of puts everyone
together
on board. And if you want to do it in the classroom or school, okay, so souvenirs to share, party gifts to share, and all of that. She's really cashing out, right from being a chartered accountant and then selling clothes to women in the working class, and then also selling baby clothes, and now she's doing parties. And this is somebody who is younger than
sometimes you'll say, maybe you are doing too much. Can you, like...
Yeah, but sometimes
she's doing it.
Sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much. I'm always asking ChatGPT if I'm doing too much. Like, no, really, because the truth of the matter is that something has to give. It's just a fact. Like, if I'm here, if I'm doing I have my full-time corporate job, which can be very busy, and then I have to do Vision with V. Like I don't sell it physically. Luckily, I've created a route to market that just works, so it works without me having to be involved. But I'm also doing Reflections by Vision with V. It means planning. It means shooting. I sometimes speak at events. I mentor, the ladies I mentor them at least 2 hours every week. Sometimes it's a lot.
So do you enjoy what you're doing?
I do, but it doesn't mean that I don't get overwhelmed. I get tired because, for example, if I look at the last 6 months, I can count the number of weekends that I was in my house. I can count. And it's probably because I felt like I'm about to crash. I need to pause, right? So it's sometimes really, sometimes we are doing too much. I don't have kids yet. And if I don't shout out my husband, to be a problem. So my husband is also very supportive. So a lot of the times I'm able to leave everything and be out of home and know that when I come, my home will still be tidy. There will still be something to eat. Right? Not everybody has that. So really, sometimes I understand when women feel like they're doing too much. I think we just need to also create support systems. If it means getting help at home, or these days, like if there's something that does not need my physical presence, I likely will not do it. I would somehow find a way to outsource it, right? Sometimes people aren't happy because they feel like, you didn't. I'm like, but I can't be in the same place, at all times. So
you can't be at different places.
I can't be at different places at the same time. And so for me, I think I've not even figured out this, like the juggling part perfectly. I'm still learning. I still ask people, hey, how are you doing? Especially the moms, because they figured out how to juggle. How are you able to juggle, being a mom and, taking care of your home and then doing all of these other things. But like you said, because I enjoy it and it's almost like it's very purposeful for me, it kind of helps me to power through. But if I was just doing it for the money, then after some time I'll be like, ish, I can't.
You can't.
Yeah,
you
it's
can't,
just too much. Yeah.
All right, Mami Jo. So we are wrapping up in a few minutes.
Okay.
I think that we have one question, but let me finish with this one. So you do Slim and Fit.
Yeah.
So before we went live, we're discussing that when you hear Slim and Fit, like slim teas and all of that. Let's come to women's health.
Okay.
Because another way of empowering women, if you are not well, how do you even get up to be a woman in the first place? So in very simple terms and in a very short period, can you share with us some basic self-care routines or self-care tips for women?
Okay, so your health is your greatest asset. You need to really pay attention to it, because if it's not in shape, you can't achieve any other thing, irrespective of what. And so as a woman going through all sort of stages, right from I will go from premenopausal to menopausal, so definitely we will all get there. It comes with a whole lot that if you do not take care of yourself now, and you get to that state, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to have a healthy weight.
Right.
Exactly. And because of unhealthy weight, a lot of women are facing infertility issues. I'll talk about heart-related diseases, high cholesterol, and then kidney and all sorts of. So as a woman, I'll make it very simple. You don't really need to be in the gym for you to sweat to know that you are exercising.
Okay.
So I even prefer to use the word fitness. Are you fit? So walking, dancing, 15, 10 minutes, 30 minutes in the day, just to keep the heart very active, pumping all sort of stuff to all organs and making sure that you do not have puffiness in your foot right here as a way of saving yourself from cardiac arrest or maybe heart failure. Drink a lot of water. First thing in the morning.
Water, and mind your business.
You spend all the time peeing.
Yes. It does a whole lot, right from metabolization. So it's not even about food enough. So drink a lot of water. Right from bed to just set the organs. Tell them to start working, metabolize, start using stored fat for energy, because that is what the body has to do. Okay. Now, as a woman, you need to eat well. And that is what I'm championing. Nutrition is key. You can't deceive yourself that who you are looking today, the skin you're having today, your health issue is not as a result of 95% what you've put in your mouth.
When you say eat well, sorry, I'm
Oh, that's fine.
Balance.
But what do you mean? Is it like
your
fufu
macronutrients.
I mean, I think
Okay.
we would need a
So-
session where we'll do like
Nutrition.
nutrition.
Yes.
Yes, we need a full session because you are taking us into macronutrients and
So
things
it's
and-
very simple. Balanced diet.
okay.
I'm just being a bit. But it's just balanced
So
diet.
nothing like no carb diets,
No, not at all.
high protein.
Carbs give. Okay, so low carb is what you said, right?
Like no, I didn't say low carb, no carb.
Low carb.
Okay, low carb is fine,
Low
but not
carb,
no carb.
carbohydrate
Okay.
is very essential for energy. But how the process of cooking it and what you're pairing it with then becomes unhealthy or healthy. And that's the point. And so having your good fats, having your fruits, having your vegetables, your process of cooking and your carbohydrates and your lean protein should be balanced well on the plate. And I call it food. But people eat carbs and they're thinking that is food.
Like okay, just they eat all cake.
The Banku people, they are shading us, but it is well.
No, so someone says, so how can I add vegetables to banku? I mean, you can steam vegetables and add it to banku. Or after your banku, you can take
I'll
an
eat it
apple.
with greens. Like even okra is fine.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not
Exactly.
I'm just justifying my.
I mean, so we are
so
coming
eat
back
well.
for a full. Please find time for us, and
I will.
we'll come back for a full session on eating well and health. But obviously, I'm coming to your new video series.
Yeah.
But first off, how is your journal doing? Your
Well.
obviously has a journal for women, like
Called
some-
Vision with V.
some bougie journal
Hey,
that
you're
has
so-
that has inspirational stories of other women and no. How is it going?
I think it's going pretty well, especially like since like getting to the end of the year and beginning of the year, because most people are setting their goals. And even for International Women's Day, we have quite a number of people ordering to gift to their teams, the women in their teams, or to their siblings, or to their wives. So it's going pretty well.
Okay, so if you are looking for gifts for women this weekend, it's a Saturday, so it's more than Valentine's Day. See, this is International Women's Day. We want gifts, we want actions for us and gifts. So
And you want to give a purposeful gift.
a purposeful gift. So you
Yeah.
can either sign up to Mami Jo's personal coaching, which comes with some product for your wife, your colleague, your sister, and not all. And we want double. Check out Novice's page on Instagram. Novice, what's your handle, please?
So my personal page is at Awonovisi, and then the business page is at Vision with V Africa
Vision
on both
with V
Instagram and then on YouTube for the Reflections video series.
All right, so you know where to get. We are not eating chocolates and things again. So we won't give that Transformers. While we are looking good and staying fit with Mami Jo's product, we are learning and planning our lives properly, gingerly, with Novice's journal. This is where we draw the curtains. We wish we could talk. Women, when we meet, we said we're doing 30 minutes. See, would you believe that we've done an hour?
Oh,
Wow.
Yes. So we can go on and
I
on.
thought we were just beginning.
And there's someone who has to rush into a meeting. There's someone who has to rush into a meeting. So, thank you for joining today's session. It's been an exciting and interactive session. This is the Mirror. Expect more from us. This is also your reminder to sign up onto the Graphic News Plus app, where you get all our graphic brands. So you get the Mirror, you get Junior Graphic, Graphic Showbiz, Graphic Sports, and Daily Graphic, which is our daily brand. The Mirror is for women, not women only. It's a family paper. When you buy the Mirror, you get fashion, lifestyle, entertainment, health. I think that we should be creating small spaces for you to share, because you are ideal target for the Mirror. So make sure you buy a copy. There will be copies on the newsstand. If you missed this session, you can always come back to our Facebook page or our YouTube page to watch. And we are always just a DM away. Reach out to us. Reach out to all the ladies in their DM. Mami Jo, what's the handle of your business?
So it's Slim and Fit _GH.
Slim and Fit _GH. When you see the correct page, you know that
Exactly.
that's the page. And then the journal is
At Vision with V Africa.
at Vision with V Africa. So there's a question that I'm missing. Someone is asking that, how were you able to? Well, let me not paraphrase.
And from the
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Efia. Can you please ask Novice how she was able to go international and even work with Twitter?
okay, I wasn't expecting that question. So first of all, I also speak French. I studied French.
Oh, okay.
So that helped, right? But again, it goes back to what I said about being strategic and international. Even though I spoke French, it didn't happen accidentally. I decided at some point that, one, I only want to work in international companies. So since then, I've not worked in any local companies. And then I also decided that, okay, I'm going to
You spoke
look...
French while living
No,
here?
I studied French
Okay.
in school.
Okay.
And even at some point had to go for the year abroad in France.
Okay.
But like I said, at some point I made a decision that I only want to work in international companies so I can grow. And so I started looking out for those companies. I started from the bottom, and then I eventually grew into these companies. And I think once you work in one of the international companies, it becomes relatively easier to move to another, and then another, and it goes on and on.
I think she was intentional about it.
She was
Yeah,
intentional.
that's
I'm
very
sure,
intentional.
my producers are timing me, but I can't miss this question. The question is, how did you transition from the corporate space to becoming a boss on your own?
I was already born a boss.
She said she
Period. Period.
I was already born a boss. And so right from the start, I learned things about heading or leading. And that's why learning comes in and still upgrading. And so even when I was, I took a challenge. I was made to build a branch from scratch.
Okay.
And that was the thing for me. So look for the space, get the
team,
people,
train them,
recruit them. You are given a target, get your customer service and operations on board, groom them. And now I groomed people, sales executives to become sales managers, help them to even become branch managers and even do better than me. And so what was next for me?
Okay, now
To build my own thing.
Okay.
And so I used the same thing to
Yeah,
build my
'cause the
own thing.
skills
And so
are
I'm having all
transferable.
of that. So all the departments you can find in the
So
company.
you owe us 2 sessions. One will be on the health, another one on becoming a boss. I hope you all agree. Yes,
We agree.
because- Thank you, ladies, for
Thank
making
you.
so much time
Thank
for
you so
driving.
much.
I know that you all have very tight schedules. We are so grateful. My name is Efia Kese, and I've been your host for today. Thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it. So we'll come your way again very soon with another insightful conversation just to help you empower yourself. So this year's theme for International Women's Day is accelerating action. It means that we are not just talking. Aside talking, we are doing things, practical things. And I hope that from this morning's session, you've got like real practical things that not notebook, I use 10 CDs to build my business kind of motivation.
Yeah, let me shout out to my husband.
Age, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because not every lady will have the opportunity to have a husband to push her through
Okay.
to become what she really wants to be, especially looking at the responsibilities in the house. But he's allowed me to go to the highest heights that I want to be, and he's even there coaching and supporting, and he will tell you that go out and go all for it. And so shout out to Mr. Kodia.
Marry
He's
well.
doing amazing.
See, Mario Hall. Not people will tell you, come and cook for me.
Where's my bank?
Okay, cooking is right, you can cook, but
Yeah.
not where is my bank when you have to be on a live show.
Exactly.
Thank you
That's
so much. This is
hilarious.
how we sign out. Thank
Yeah.
you, ladies. I'm so grateful.
Bye.
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 There's a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies